It's 2 a.m. in the morning. The sweat keeps dripping off of your forehead, and you can feel every ache in your body, along with every heartbeat that echoes like a ricochet through your mind. All you can wait for is the sunlight. Nothing you can do is going to stop every minute from going by, as miserable as it is. Your legs are uncontrollably sore and shaking. Your stomach is turning like there's a tornado of nails in it. This is the symptoms of opiate withdrawal. It's not pretty. Welcome, everybody. My name's Mike Anderson. This is the Bad Apple Fact Podcast, and today we're going to talk about how I survived a fentanyl addiction. Now, as everybody's well aware, this is a poisonous, deadly chemical that has killed so many Americans. I don't even want to look up the statistics. I know personally, I've lost hundreds of friends, almost my whole generation, and I was right in the middle of all of it. This is how it goes. When I started partying and doing, extracurricular activities in high school, as some kids in that age may do, I had a lot of fun in it. I was very successful in sports. I had so many trophies between baseball, football, and driving race cars. There was literally no place for me to put any of them. You know, I had everything, the world by the balls. My guy, that's bad apple facts. But once the game started changing and it went from maybe dabbling, smoking some green herb after school with your boys, maybe trying to get a girl at a party, having some brewskis nobody knows about. Yeah, that was pretty innocent looking back at it because about my end of my sophomore year into my junior year, the innocence left and it left fast. That's the devil talking right there. Yep, big pharma. I was a part of it. The big pharmaceutical companies making millions of dollars off of insurance and just pushing these pills that they know are going to get you hooked and your body is guaranteed going to be dependent on it. They did this purposely. This is facts. And at the time, perkies were cool. You know what I'm talking about? Them oxycodone 30 milligram blueberries. They were the thing. I was on the East Coast, so if you know, you know. There was a open flood line of these pills per se. Every doctor was handing them out. Insurance companies had no problem paying for them. You could get like 260 perk 30s a month for like $11. On the streets, they're worth $1 a milligram, if not more, if you're willing to travel. So thinking of it now as a grown man is it's crazy because in my head as a kid, we were doing it to enjoy the high. But when we realized we could make money off of it, we were getting high for free and we had a pocket full of cash. We were living the big life all of a sudden. All of a sudden, now my trophies and my sponsorship opportunities for racing and my NASCAR career, that took the back seat because it didn't generate that fast money fast enough for my liking. What a joke, huh? That's what this drug will do. So it goes from really quickly from just smoking a doobie, drinking a brewy, to popping a perky, and it goes from there. My guy, bad apple facts. It's not good. Of course, me being a cocky teenager, I wanna, I'm living life. You couldn't tell me right from wrong. You couldn't tell me what I was doing was wrong. Everything I ever thought I wanted, I had. That shit was easy to me, and it was a no-brainer because, again, we have these doctors and these insurance companies prescribing it. So really, all they could say is you are misusing it. It wasn't like it is now to where it's complete federal felonies and shit like that. I mean, and we were high school kids, so they weren't looking at us like that. My father started to notice I was stealing his shit. That's what happened. That's the truth. But even then, he was hooked too. That's what these fucking doctors do. So I don't want to glorify the good times, the money, the cars, the clothes, the women, whatever. Listen to a rap song, it's the same story. All right, we'll just get that out of the way. I want to talk about when shit got real. When it turned from popping perkies every once in a while to popping perkies every morning, every afternoon, and every evening. And then it went to fuck popping them, we're snorting them. We want that instant kick, right? You know what I mean? You got to have that drip. You can't just be popping. No, that was us drinking lean. It's the same thing. Back then, it was not a whole lot of fake pills going around. We're gonna get to that. You very rarely heard of an overdose at the time in my generation with the pills. It wasn't happening. For one, they were so expensive, $1 a milligram. You know, it takes a lot to overdose on that. It's an expensive habit, and it wasn't. It didn't seem like it was going to escalate the way it did. In hindsight, there were signs. Was I old enough, or did I care to even give a fuck? No. Well, eventually, when the government started locking down on this pill farming situation, they locked it down throughout the whole country. Now the demand is through the roof, but the supply is very limited because doctors are cutting people off. They're piss testing people. They're really doing their research at this point. Sure as shit, my dad went in, got got his urine test, and there wasn't enough of it in his system. So they took his script because they figured he was selling it. And that wasn't the case. I was stealing it. So sorry, Dad, for that. Regardless, once they cut his script, I had no more to steal. He had no more, which he actually needed. He got prescribed it from a surgery. So this poor guy is actually in pain. They cut him off his script because I was stealing. I didn't have the heart to tell him right away. Who wants to admit to that? Well, it didn't take long, but 2 days without it, and me and him were going through the same withdrawals. So my father, not being a complete space cadet, connected the dots, which are very easily connected, and realized that I was detoxing just with him. The exact same symptoms, everything. It was miserable. And I was at the age I wasn't listening to any parenting. I thought I was my own man. And he treated me like that. If I wanted to move that way, that was on me. Well, I made a huge mistake. I wasn't strong enough just to stick it out. I was thought I was pretty connected, which I was from the pill game and the weed, and I had been around some people and I had money, but I was dope sick. Never been through this withdrawal before. I'm 16 years old. This sucks. Oh, I'm calling my boys, this and that. Somebody must have a pill left over somewhere around here. You know what I mean? Like, buddy, I need help. Nobody had pills. You know what they offered me? Oh, bro, we got this down. And for you guys that don't know, that's just a word for heroin or fentanyl. At the time, it was heroin. It wasn't mixed with fentanyl. It was bad, though. It was worse decision than the pills. And me just wanting to feel better, I didn't give a fuck. I knew I wasn't going to put a needle in my arm. I was just going to snort it like it was a pill. And that was it. I wanted to feel better. And that's what I did. And of course, it made me feel better. It didn't only just make me feel better, it made me feel great. We've all heard the stories. I'm a 90s baby. I went through every DARE program the school had to offer me. I can see the signs. I purposely chose to ignore those signs to get high and continue this because now these people are telling me there's money in the dope game. It's just like pills. I'm sitting there with thousands of dollars in my pocket. Oh, you know what I mean? Maybe let's negotiate a trip down out of state. Everybody knows if we go across the border, we meet up with a real plug. You have to get blessed, introduced. There's a whole process to these streets, and it's a dangerous game. But if you're willing to play it and you're willing to bring all that cash, you could probably work something out. Sounds like an awesome idea, right, dude? That just sounds brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Hop in the truck, got my boy with me. We're heading it. 495 South. If you know, you know. If you don't, good for you. I know all about it. Long story short, we'll get through that. I don't even want to go too deep on the street side of things. It's a process. It was scary. I was still in high school. I was a white kid from New Hampshire going down to meet some serious people. I didn't have any weapons on me. All I had was a pocket full of cash. Things could have gone very wrong very fast, but they didn't. What ended up happening is a pretty good connection and a good relationship with a person, and that's just how that happened. We ended up seeing each other like daily for years. So it's pretty bad when you have a relationship with your plug to where you consider him your boy. I didn't know this dude until I got into the game, right? So if that tells you how much of your life surrounds this fucking drug, it happens fast. This couldn't have been in the period of 6 months. Please just keep that in mind. That I completely forgot about all the accomplishments I had as a school kid in my high school career. I forgot all the accomplishments I planned on having with racing and NASCAR and sports, and it all went out the window. Now I want to be best friends with the biggest plug going. That's what I wanted. I wanted these gold necklaces, these Cubans, I wanted these watches, and I wanted it now. I didn't want it in 2 weeks. I didn't want to work for it either. I wanted it now. I had the money, I had the product, and I'm going to take advantage of people's weaknesses because they're addicts just like me, and they're going to spend their money with me. And that's what I did. And I pray for forgiveness multiple times a day, not just every night, not just once a day, multiple times a day. Because it's a horrible thing, and it's a horrible thing to live through. You want to talk about survivor's guilt? When I look back on it now, I'm turning 31 years old in a couple months. And I look back on it now and I want to invite friends to come and enjoy success with me. And they're not here, they're dead. And this drug that I thought was so great and was making me all this money contributed to them dying. And I hate that. I hate the drug. I despise it now. And it's a thing. Now, you may ask yourself, how did I survive? I can tell you right now, it's not Suboxone. It wasn't methadone. I've never been to a clinic and I've never been to a rehab. That's facts. What I did do was go to prison, and prison helped. When I went to prison, there wasn't Suboxone programs. There was none of that. If you were gonna get high or get Suboxone in the prison, you had to know people, and you had to be willing to spend hundreds of dollars on Suboxone. That wasn't happening. For one, I was broke. The cops took all my money. It ain't happening. Plus, I like to gamble when I'm locked up. So, gamble, the poker table's open 24/7. Suboxone isn't always available. So, I had to go through my DTs and my withdrawals just straight up cold turkey, sitting in a cell, an 8x9. I remember watching the walls sweat. I remember getting so bad I was kivvying out to where I was hallucinating in my sleep. I panic attacks were some of the worst I've ever been through. You would just panic randomly. And the biggest thing that got me was the mental game, because with this drug, with the opiates, it's not just like 2 or 3 days and you're going to be better. It's not like kicking a hangover. You know, on your third to fourth day, you are dying, literally. This is very dangerous and it's not good, especially being in jail. It was horrible. But you can't tell yourself, well, tomorrow it'll be better, because it's not. And it's not going to be better for at least another week, and that's before you start to sleep good. The lack of sleep is incredibly damaging. It was so hard for me. Just the fact I couldn't make it through an 8-hour night sleep cycle, it made those 8 hours feel like eternity. My guy, it was horrible. And each and every second of those hours when you're sitting there in a cell by yourself and you can hear everybody else snoring and you can't, and you're kivvying and you're farting and you're sweating and you want to cry because your emotions are just doing this at this point. Like, you're a complete mess. You're going to prison, you're messed up, your whole life as you know it is gone, and you just can't even feel good enough to get a sip of water in you or any food. And it just all adds up on day 3, 4, and 5. Sometimes I had a very high habit, so my